All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Up a Creek with Two Paddles.
And we're back.
Coming to you from the same spot we were last week, fully submerged in the river, just about. I am, you're not. We are your hosts. I'm Austin.
And I'm Blake.
And yeah, it's episode 53.
Dude, yeah, I didn't update you on the last episode about the caterpillar.
Yes, I posted that clip today.
Dude.
Of us saving each other's lives, which in hindsight was a very gay clip.
Yeah.
Anyway, how did that
Dude,
rash handle?
It burned for days.
That's wild.
It burned for literally days.
That's crazy.
It's probably might be like a little red, but it kind of stopped itching it like maybe a day or two ago.
Yeah. Really?
Dude, it was intense.
That's crazy.
I never had an encounter with a caterpillar like that.
Really?
Have you ever?
No, I don't think no.
I've always heard that, like, don't touch caterpillars, they'll irritate you.
Yeah, those fuzzy ones for sure.
I've always heard that, but I never touch them.
What you think about that cloud? That don't look like rain, does it?
The radar said we shouldn't have any issues.
I think I see more blue through the trees. It's just hard. The contrast makes it look a little gray over there.
Yeah.
I think we'll be straight. Yeah, so I guess we've got no fresh stories from last week.
Yeah, we're going to have to do this one off the cuff. Off the cuff.
Yeah, this one might be a little bit more boring after an hour of just talking, but we're going to try and stick with it.
Anything been going on?
We continue to say nothing.
What's been going on?
Nothing. It's been a good week. Been a good weekend. No complaints here. Other than work's been a little slow. Apparently, there's been some supply chain issues with Lowe's. They are really, all the Lowe's in the upstate, and potentially more than just that, have really been struggling to keep grills in stock lately. And what sucks is the grills that they're struggling to keep in stock are the grills that are currently on sale. So they sell out of their stock, and then there's the supply chain issues. I don't know where it is in the chain, but they're having a really hard time restocking all the grills they currently have on sale. So my work has been a little slow over the past week, but again, can't complain. It's been all right.
Nuts. I've heard of the supply chain issues because obviously, China and Taiwan and all that shit, and then like the Suez Canal issues. Like there's terrorists like bombarding the Suez Canal. Yeah, they haven't been able to use it for a while.
Damn.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
I've heard it's related possibly because they want to create another pathway from the Indian Ocean basically to the Mediterranean.
Damn.
Create another passageway because it's the only one that you can avoid like having to go all the way around Africa.
Right.
And I've heard some theories that's one of the reasons that they want to take control of Gaza and get everybody out of there so they can build the canal right through there. That's literally where it would go through. And they've been talking about this for years.
I'm not well versed on that area in geography, but that would make sense to me.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just literally up
That's an
the
interesting
coast.
theory.
Like Egypt is literally just Egypt and is where the Suez Canal runs along and then into the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Gaza's literally like 100 miles north of there on the water.
Yeah, I was watching a video saying that in any given day, there is enough oil traveling through the Strait of Gibraltar, which is where the Mediterranean connects to the Atlantic.
I know that. Yeah, I know that one.
Spain
and Morocco.
Yes, there is. I think the number was 5 times the amount of oil that the entire U.S. uses on a daily basis travels through the Strait of Gibraltar every single day.
Holy shit.
I believe the number was somewhere...
Where's it going?
All over. North and South America and Europe, I would imagine.
Right, because it's coming out of the Mediterranean from
coming out of the Middle East.
Like Saudi Arabia.
Yes. But I'm going to be off on the numbers here, so forgive me. And it might not have been 5 times, but I want to say it was something like the U.S. uses, it was either 10 or 20 million barrels of oil every single day is what all of the U.S. consumes in a day. And somewhere in the range,
Our planet's going to get a lot greener.
somewhere in
Putting
the
all
range,
this carbon in the air, it's going to be just green everywhere.
I believe it was somewhere in the range.
That's how that
of
works, right?
30 to 40 million barrels of oil travel through the Strait of Gibraltar on a daily basis.
I don't even know what that means.
And 1 barrel of oil, I believe, is like 50 gallons. It's like a 50-gallon drum.
Right.
So 40 million barrels of oil would be couple 100 million, if not more,
Jesus.
gallons of oil.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's when you see the numbers, it is unfathomable that there is still some left for us to take.
It's outrageous, right?
There's so much oil.
How is that possible?
How is there that much oil?
It's almost like there's been huge cataclysms that killed everything that was made out of carbon on the fucking planet. Over and over again.
Dude, think about that. What if in 100 million years, our carbon is getting used for the next species fossil fuels?
It's kind of romantic.
It is kind of romantic. Like the idea that, people talk like you want to be buried with a tree that can grow from your body.
Sure.
Our fossil fuels will be the carbon that the future generations thrive off of.
Use, right.
If they go down the same fucked up path that we have. Hopefully they don't go through the fossil fuels
Yeah,
path.
so they can figure out a better way.
Not if everything's wiped out and they start from scratch again, though. They're going to have just as good of a luck as we would.
Right. Roll the dice.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like one good invention that would be good for a while, just fucks you up for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how fucking dope is the car
Right.
in the diesel engine, but it's just like, well,
They're fucking coal power plants.
but I mean, liberating all of that carbon, I mean, I can definitely see how it can be problematic. I'm not an idiot, but maybe we can use that carbon. Like, we're made out of carbon. Taking it from under the earth where it's basically useless to us and bringing it to the surface in whatever form it may be.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's a carbon life cycle.
Right.
And obviously, like, let's say the tree is made out of the carbon that it breathes out of the air and sucks from the ground. But mostly what it breathes out of the air, right? That's its main source of carbon is CO2.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Right? So that pulls it out of the air, sequesters it in its structure, dies, falls, and decomposes into the earth. That is the carbon going from air to tree to earth.
Right.
That's a cycle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that they're gonna perfectly compensate and there's just gonna be more flowers and suck the CO2 out of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not that naive, but it's not that far off. It's obviously more complex, but that will happen some. Like, there's probably gonna be more bugs.
Yeah. I mean, it's all above my pay grade.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're just fucking grasping at straws.
Speculating.
But I mean, I guess I can see the logic in what you're saying.
Right.
I
don't know.
It's a fucking wild existence we have here, man.
Yep. Gotta love America.
Fucking USA. Greatest country ever.
America.
We are the GOAT.
Dude, I always get kind of worried on, like, the 4th of July. Because, like, let's say you were a terrorist, right? And you were like, I really want to hit them where it hurts. You'd be like, let's fucking get them on their Independence Day, dude. Fuck them.
I don't know, though, because the flip side of that, how many Americans go out and fire off their firearms on the 4th of July?
Well, come on. It's fireworks.
But you know what I mean.
Oh, God, yeah.
People are
feeling raring to go on the 4th of July.
People are expressing and utilizing their right. What is Second Amendment right on the fucking 4th of July. They are taking the time to appreciate.
But you see what I'm saying, though.
Yeah. No, I see exactly what you're saying.
Like, I always get a little nervous.
Yeah. Change the subject. I randomly saw this video about how we discovered an object in the Oort cloud that was believed to be 2 large asteroids that came together and stuck together after they collided. And then after being bombarded by solar radiation for however many millions of years, the entire asteroid is coated in forms of glucose.
Okay.
So we now have evidence that shows that there is a potential way that organic molecules form in the vastness of space,
Right.
which can
Which is
potentially
not surprising because it's literally two of the most abundant, like the three most abundant,
right.
or three of the most abundant atoms in the universe, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen,
Yeah.
make up like 98% of organic molecules.
Right.
It's
right.
like not surprising.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, this is apparently giving more credibility to the theory that an asteroid impact in the past could have introduced organic compounds to the Earth and jump-started life on Earth. Not necessarily seeding, like alien seeding, like some people say. Not that there was life on this asteroid that then got transferred to Earth.
Right.
But potentially there were organic molecules present on an asteroid that at one time struck Earth and jump-started the evolution of life here on Earth.
I can see that. And I think I've brought this up before. I don't think that it's necessarily a given that there was one origin of life on this planet.
No, I completely agree with you.
Like, I think that there could have been multiple origins of life. Like, look at how different, obviously they say we all came from the sea or the oceans, whatever. But, like, there's so many different environments for life to, like, come out of.
Yeah,
like, I just think that there could be multiple
We've definitely
origins.
talked about it before. I believe there's plenty of scientific evidence that shows, like, hey.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people still point to the typical evolution model of.
I mean, most of it came from
a
algae.
single common ancestor.
But again, a single common ancestor didn't necessarily have to come from one single cell. Just like we're all humans, but there may have been multiple humans evolving to the point of Homo sapien at different areas on the planet at the same time. So that very initial algae that we believe sparked life on Earth could have just... Earth was at the right environment to lend itself for life to evolve, for these algae to begin their life cycle. Because Earth was in that environment in one place, it's likely that there were many places around the Earth that it was conducive to that algae popping up. So it may have all been a similar species that popped up in the beginning, but it could have all popped up in multiple places around the globe at the same time, or at a similar time. We've definitely talked about it. I don't think that all of life comes from one single cell that just happened to, like, one single molecule that just happened to develop some type of thing that made us classify it as life. I think there were many, many instances of similar molecules developing that at the same time in Earth's history because the environment was ripe for it
or
to
at separate times too.
Oh, yes. Or we already know that.
Right.
I believe I saw a clip. I'm going to butcher this. Animals, is it animal cells? Either there was certain cells, and then at some point there was a cell that was like its own like algae cell, and then there was another cell that was like a mitochondria, and then like the one cell ate the mitochondria, but instead of digesting it as food, they began a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
And then that sparked an entire new branch of life.
Right.
Apparently, that just happened again recently, where we found evidence that a cell had eaten another cell, but then they began to work together.
Right.
And it's potential that there is a brand new branch of life forms outside of plant, animal, or fungus that is in development right now.
Wow.
Which is, again, it's been a while since I listened to that. I'm definitely butchering it, but I think I'm on to something. I think I'm right in that I heard that and that's happening.
Wow.
And yeah, my explanation is probably not the best, but that's crazy.
That is nuts.
And I forget, the dude made a point of like, that means if we continue to watch this evolve, even as soon as like 10, 20 years down the road, this could be a huge step towards potential new medicines, like a bunch of different things.
They always say that. It's always like new medicines. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anytime they discover something about, like, biology, they're like, new medicine.
Yeah, new medicine. Well,
It's hilarious.
Is that because we're all on this path to strive for, like, immortality, to expand our lifespan as much as we possibly can? So medicine is, in our approach to avoid death, the inevitable end of our life, is that why we get so enamored by potential new fountains of youth?
No, to be honest, I think it's just that life is super tough.
Yeah.
And it goes bad so often that humans are smart enough to look for things to counter that. And we just do it incessantly to our own detriment.
Right.
Like, I was going to ask you this.
So you think it's more the brutality of life rather
Absolutely.
than the fact that there's an inevitable end to that life?
Yes, I think it's I think it's mostly to cope with things while we're here.
Okay.
I mean, I obviously, longevity is a whole study, but it's relatively new in medicine. I think for a long, long, long time, it was really just to help you cope with how tough life was for a long time. Like, here's some alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, here's some opium. It wasn't like, hey, this is going to make you live longer. It's like, hey, this is going to keep you from wanting to die because of the pain.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
So I think now we're getting to the point where we can focus on, like, both helping the quality of life, but also stretching, that quality for longer.
Right.
And not just, to sort of help us cope.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But yeah, there's this whole classical study of ancient Greek medicine. And they used to do crazy shit, apparently. They used to use the human body as a pharmacy, apparently. Like, they would, it's like, say, it's kind of fucked up, to be honest, but, so, like, they would take kids and adolescents.
Yeah.
Because they're rich with hormones and they have a lot of nutrient-rich blood.
Right.
They would actually, like,
just like
use their body as a pharmacy.
Just like the Illuminati does now.
I mean, people say it. I'm not saying that. But anyway, yeah, they would.
The lizard people are up in their thrones drinking the fucking blood of healthy infants.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no.
I'll guarantee. I'm not saying I believe in lizard people or the Illuminati or whatever. I guarantee there's some rich motherfuckers trying that right now.
For sure.
At least just like, well, if they keep talking about it, there's got to be something here. Might as well give it a try.
So crazy.
I mean, if Epstein would go to the lengths he did, you don't think he'd also be willing to drink a little baby blood?
Yeah,
in my opinion, like, drinking the baby blood is honestly less severe than what he did already.
If you're gonna, like, give them to people to be raped, you might as well just take a little bit of their blood.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
We support that here at Upper Creek with Tupac.
But yeah, I don't even know how we got on that topic, but
I was talking about the potential new life
new
form.
medicine. Yeah, but I was gonna ask you this. Like,
this river's starting to make me have to pee. I'm sorry. Continue.
We've kind of talked about this maybe a little bit, but I've kind of alluded to, like, as we progress down this technological path, perhaps we're getting away from divine creation and just,
yes,
possibly just enamoring ourselves with our own creation. That,
as you said, the truths of the universe.
Sure. Or we're drifting from almighty creation or God or nature in general, whatever. Like, do you think it's possible for humans to do anything? Like, do you think New York City, because, like, that's almost like the ultimate expression of our, like, technological development, right? Like that
Singapore,
city.
Hong Kong.
Right. Or those, yeah, perfect. Like, do you think that's an improvement? Like, do you think that's a step in a good direction?
I think it's both.
I guess you're right.
Because I think
it has to be both.
There's an attempt to have an improved quality of life in a lot of those cities, based on your accessibility to opportunity, your accessibility to good food, good resources, your accessibility to culture.
Right.
But then again, there's a lot of people who would say where we are right now is the most true you can be, and the best quality of life you can have is getting out here. So I don't necessarily think it's one is right or wrong, or it's one or the other. I think there's a combination of the two.
I've heard people make the argument, especially when it comes to environmental topics and just development and that sort of thing in general. I've heard a lot of people make the argument that humans don't ever do anything that improves the landscape. We really just fuck things up that are there, and we do it inevitably, and we really can't do anything else. I've heard that argument.
I wouldn't say that's true across the board.
Not across the board.
But typically, the examples of humans doing good in the environment is in an effort to restore something we already fucked up.
We already fucked up.
Either we're restoring something we already fucked up, or we're preserving something that is yet to be fucked up.
Right.
So from that perspective, I would tend to agree with you, but
right.
I don't think that's the best description of that.
Right.
To say that humans have never done anything good to the environment. I mean, preservation in and of itself is us making the effort to step back and say we're going to let this environment stay untouched as best we can. But on the flip side, as far as quality of life, we've talked a lot about how, these big reservoirs, they dam up a river and they put all these beautiful shoals and even towns that they just flood to create these reservoirs. But
probably ancient artifacts that weren't excavated.
Yes. But the counter argument to that being a destructive thing is that, and again, a lot of this is me playing devil's advocate, because I do stand a little bit more on your side than what I'm about to say.
I'm not. I just presented that thought.
Right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good segue into what we've talked about before. I think we've talked about it on the podcast. I know we've talked about it outside, but they dam up these rivers and flood these beautiful areas of the earth. But what we get from that is a lot of times hydroelectric energy, which is a relatively efficient and green energy source. Two,
not that productive, but yeah, sure.
Maybe not so productive, but efficient.
Yeah, I mean, it probably makes up like 5% of the power we use in the state. But
again,
sure.
that is not. That's a result of where we've come from.
Let's put it this way:
not necessarily what we're doing now.
I can argue the points that you just made, but it's hard to argue that those dams that they put all across the southeast, electrified towns.
Yes.
Before those dams, towns didn't have power.
Yes.
They put those dams in, and now people can have power.
Right.
So that is true, and
also,
that's important because those people need power did those people good.
You're sacrificing the quality of life of a certain area, or maybe the sanctity of a certain area of nature, to give electricity and better quality of life to a larger group of people. You're also creating.
I wonder if there is a God, how he looks at that.
He made us and we made it, so I don't think he'd have a problem with it. But, from that perspective, completely disagrees with the entire Bible and all of Christianity to say that God made us, so he's probably okay with whatever we do. But that's my personal viewpoint in a lot of cases. But
he might say that you people have had so many children out of sacred
wedlock,
companionship, or wedlock, and that's your own fault.
But again, he bestowed 100% of what's in us. So anyway, that's a religious argument. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
Also, we're providing a quality and plentiful source of drinking water in a lot of these reservoirs. Most of them are for drinking water.
Most of them provide drinking water.
And lastly, a lot of them provide recreational areas where people who won't be willing to come hike back into a river and sit in the water like me and you can still go to a boat ramp and enjoy nature.
Sure.
Maybe they're having a couple natty lights out on the pontoon, but they're still out there having a fun time in nature, and hopefully they're not littering. So it's a win-win for everybody. The only detriment is that, yes, you are sacrificing a little bit of natural beauty that was present before that dam was there. But I think the payoffs are worth it.
Because I always, like, I guarantee you Los Angeles was better before they built Los Angeles. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like that, I bet that place was like,
It would have just been like grasslands and
heaven.
like, oh man, there's a reason they settled there. We've said that before too.
It would
Like
have
all
been
of these places that are so
incredible.
built up and beautiful, like Manhattan, this island that's straddled by two rivers. It would have been beautiful. There's a reason people fucking pick that spot.
Yep.
They're like, bro, we want this spot.
This is a sweet spot.
And then
Yeah.
to your previous point, well, then we just fucking butcher it,
We
and now
fuck
it's
it up.
beautiful for a different reason.
Right.
Now it's man-made beauty.
It's weird. It's weird.
And again,
Because you can't help to be in awe of the city.
yes. Oh, it is all
it's
inspiring.
undeniable. Like you're sitting in this, like I was sitting last night in this beautiful stadium surrounded by these sky rises and beautiful apartment buildings. And it's like, damn, like this is impressive for sure. It's like hard not to be in awe of it. But at the same time, you're like, it feels almost wrong. Even still, it feels almost wrong.
I wouldn't go that far, but I still battle with the idea that man-made is still natural.
Yeah, natural for sure.
Like you wouldn't say an ant colony is
Yeah.
ant-made.
It's 100% natural.
We've definitely said that because I said you wouldn't say tree sap is tree-made.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's all shit that was natural that we just fucked with enough to the point where we can build these
only
seemingly
thing-
unnatural things. And I don't fully believe that, but I do wrangle with that idea in my mind a little bit.
It's weird because we create all these very specific environments chemically to make things happen that really typically wouldn't happen outside of nature
right.
or inside of nature.
Or at least not the nature we know of. It
Right.
might be happening naturally somewhere on the, in the
Possibly,
universe.
yeah, possibly. But yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation. But yeah, I think about that a lot, and a lot of times, like I'm just like this is our nature. Like man will kill its neighbor, they'll kill their own Messiah.
Yes.
They'll kill their own Savior.
Yes.
Like this is just the way we fucking are.
Yeah, it's survival.
But what makes us different is our ability to rise above those baseline impulses.
Yes, we have the ability.
That's what makes us different.
We have the ability to evaluate the reasons we do what we do.
But isn't it interesting now that we're learning that other animals could possibly have that same,
Yes, that's wild.
like killer whales are like the famous one, like right, like they seemingly have compassion for some humans,
Yeah.
and animosity towards others.
Yeah,
Like that's super funky, and not something you would expect. But
I think most animals are far more intelligent than we ever give them credit for. Far more intelligent.
wild.
The only reason we're even perceived as intelligent as we are is because of language, I think. Because there's also I'm sure you've heard the studies of people who are illiterate, can't read, people who literally were never taught language, and therefore they have no way to think to themselves. They have no internal monologue because you think to yourself in the language you know.
Mm-hmm.
People who are deaf and only know sign language think to themselves in sign language.
That's wild.
That's wild. So people who were never taught a language,
So they imagine symbols.
you'd have to ask a deaf person. I'm not sure about that, but I believe the same way we imagine speaking, they imagine signing. In a way,
Right.
But
That's what I mean by the hand symbols.
yes, so it's been studied, I believe, that people who were never taught a language were perceived as idiots. They were perceived as mentally handicapped, even though if their IQ might have been perfect, because they had no way to form thoughts and think to themselves because they had no language. So
That's so weird.
I think that our ability to express ourselves through language is one of the only reasons we have, and I'm not fucking saying anything revolutionary here,
Right.
but I think it's one of the only reasons we have come as far as we have.
Written language specifically.
Not even just written.
But yeah, your point about internal dialogue is interesting. Because yeah, it doesn't even have to be written to make a huge impact on the way you perceive things.
You
the way
can
think
think
about
and
things.
ponder. And that is where we gain this ability to contemplate and evaluate why we do the things we do, and if we truly want to work off instincts, or if we want to do something better, or if we want to say, this is what my instinct was, this was my natural reaction, but I'm better than that, and I'm going to be the better person, or I'm going to do something more responsible. If it wasn't for language, we would really have no way to do that, to evaluate that. And perhaps that's why we see it in porpoises and killer whales, because
they have
language.
Yeah.
To the best of our knowledge.
Right.
Camera.
Some sort of language.
Right.
It seems like. Yeah, that's nuts. I don't know. Sometimes I struggle with like it seems obvious that humans are born in a manner that is relatively destructive and chaotic. Just having children, that's been fairly obvious to me that we tend towards being chaotic and destructive, yet compassionate at the same time. But you see what I'm saying? And we have to learn not to be destructive and chaotic. We have to learn to be orderly and to be like, does that make sense?
Yeah, because we're not raising animals that are out there fighting for survival. We're raising members of society.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially, when you're raising a child, in a sense, you are breaking a wild animal and domesticating them.
Right. Right, because if they grew up in the woods, they'd be just feral.
Yeah, like the story, like he was raised by wolves.
Right. right. Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, like,
and that's what I say about the Bible, like I'm not saying that you have to have faith in everything it says, but like a lot of its base principles can be used to help to understand the world. Like everyone's born a sinner.
Yeah.
You know, like.
But I mean, I just don't like just saying the Bible. I mean, fucking any story that has a moral to it.
Sure. Yeah. That's
can teach you about life.
Right.
The fucking Great Expectations.
Oh God.
Like any of that classic literature is like anything. I
cannot tell you what I learned from Great Expectations.
I can't either. I haven't read it since like fucking 6th grade, but
I think we read it in 7th grade.
But all of those, like fucking Peter Pan,
right,
can teach you about how to be a good person.
Yeah, but like, let's say that because of the Bible's depth,
and I'm not trying to be outwardly against the Bible. Right. That's not what I'm saying here.
My point is, it has an extremely large collection of condensed lessons.
Yes.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to take it as gospel or the word of God.
Yeah. Or like what are those?
Literally, no one who wrote one of the 4 gospels met Jesus.
Yeah.
None of them.
Right. They're all just written by people.
It basically was like, hey, we've gotten so far away from his actual word that we need to write these down before they get too far away from what actually happened.
Yeah.
Dude, people in the time were like, hey, you think you know the word of Jesus? I actually was around. I heard him talk.
Right.
Like, you got to, like, people were like, these words aren't, the words that somebody else wrote down after they heard him talk aren't as good as mine because I actually heard him.
Right.
Like, people look down upon the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
When people could still remember him actually being around. Like, isn't that interesting? So people used to look down upon the written word, and now it's like the most sacred thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Isn't that it's just interesting to me.
Well, I'm also thinking about like ancient Chinese proverbs.
Of course.
Like, what is that
We're
collection?
Just not exposed to that at all.
God, what is that book? It's like Tao. Fuck. I don't know. There's this collection of ancient proverbs that's really.
Oh my bat cicada.
You scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God.
I thought you saw a snake.
Look at this Mac
Where?
Daddy.
I don't see him.
I don't know how I can
Is he on your leg?
I can't contort my leg.
Slide your pant leg around. Oh, jeez. That's a motherfucker.
Go away.
Did he land on you or float down the stream?
He landed on me, dude. He's locked in. Get away. Ah! I think he's gone.
Oh, man.
Oh, I see him. He's trying to get out of the water.
You fucking drowned him, dude.
He's dead.
He landed on you for a safe solace. I wonder if he was about to molt.
He wasn't bothering me.
So it's just a fat motherfucker to just be chilling on your leg.
Jesus.
I love nature, but I'm not the biggest fan of just bugs being on me.
That was a big
It's a
cicada.
big motherfucking bug.
God, have mercy. But yeah, dude, anyway.
How do we get into fucking talk about the Bible and we're raising kids being chaotic and
Or just talking about the nature of humanity, if they're inherently good or evil.
I think that's a fucking ignorant ass human way to look at it. To even question, are humans innately good or evil? That's a human construct. Good and evil is a human construct. The tiger doesn't attack a fucking wildebeest and wonder, oh, am I being evil right now? No. That's fucking bullshit. That is a human construct. I don't necessarily believe in that question.
I don't know, because that's the thing. What makes us different is our ability to discern evil and
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that I would completely agree with that. I don't know that our ability to discern right and wrong is what makes us different.
I don't know that a tiger has the mental capacity to be malevolent.
My whole point is good and evil is a human construct. We made that entire idea up.
But can you truly deny its reality?
Yes, because outside of humanity it doesn't exist.
That's silly, but
silly.
But we do exist. So therefore it exists.
In the human consciousness.
That's like saying those cicadas don't exist anywhere outside the United States, so they're not real.
No, that's not at all like saying that. We are talking about a human thought, about an idea, a concept.
Ideas are real. I think you can't argue. I don't think it's hard to argue that good and evil exist.
Okay, I believe that the idea of good and evil obviously exists. But to truly say that good and evil is a force within the universe to be reckoned with, I don't think that's accurate. I don't think it's a true force.
It's a force.
It's simply an idea. The idea, sure, that's real. The idea of it is real. But if humans, if we were not here, nowhere on this planet would anybody ever think that there was a good or evil force. Nature is not good or evil.
I will agree. No, nature I don't think is good or evil. But I think that what gets confusing is that good and evil is relative.
Yes.
That's what makes it confusing. So is light. So is gravity. That's what makes them confusing too. Like time. It's like
good and evil is only relative.
Does that make sense? I'm in no way trying to compare.
No, I know what you're saying. You're not saying it's a universal force.
Right.
Good and evil is only relative based on societal perspectives and societal norms. So, there were probably a lot of people in Germany in the 40s that didn't think Hitler was evil. I know that's
almost like
the idea is thrown up a lot, but again, it's just. I personally think it is just completely useless to even go down that thought experiment of good and evil because it's not a true thing. It's something we've made up based on the society we currently think is correct.
Yes, but there's some truth to that. Like, you don't want people to rob you. You don't want people to abduct your children.
But if
you don't want people to commit mass murder, that's evil.
Right, I don't want them to do that.
That's objectively evil.
I don't want them to do that. You are correct.
You see what I'm saying? It's almost like the artificial thing. It's like anything that humans make is natural, right? Evil is something that we make.
Yeah, you got me there.
Good and evil is something that we make. We put it, even though it is just from us. because we are here.
Yeah.
We put it into the universe.
Well,
We create an evil force within the universe. We create a good force within the universe.
well, also let's think about the butterfly effect. What was way back when that child might have been 5 years old, whatever, something happened in most cases, unless you truly were just born as a fucking sociopath or something. In most cases, there was an event in a child's life that led them down the path to have the capacity to go commit mass murder. So when you travel it back all the way to that point, is that person just a good person that got lost? Or is that true evil?
See, that's almost even pointing towards the fact that evil is a force. And these ideas are just as real as anything. These ideas that captivate people.
That's not the way I would go down that path. I
Well,
wouldn't
what were
say
you
that
saying? I thought that was the point you were making.
No, the point I was making is that man, it's a very philosophical thing we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, obviously subjective as well.
Maybe I'm just thinking cause and effect more than good and evil.
Right. Cause and effect. I can see that. Like that person isn't inherently good or evil because of the circumstances they were placed in. They became good or evil, which is a force that acted upon them.
All right, how about this?
Which is a human force. It was probably a human force.
How about this? Because of that person's circumstances, they were led to do something that we then perceive as good and evil. Not that is good and evil, because then we're back into the good and evil versus an idea or a real thing. But if we say that they were led to take an action that other humans perceived as good and evil, then I can agree with you because we're back on the idea of good and evil simply being a real idea and not a real thing.
I think we're getting into hippie la-la land at this point. Like, this is where the liberals go to.
Not necessarily.
This is where, like,
I think this could potentially be an insightful discussion.
Excuse horrible behavior because of their previous circumstance.
I'm not saying they don't deserve
ridiculous.
Fucking the death penalty for mass murder.
It's harder to convict a child. It's harder to find a child truly guilty.
Right.
But a person. No, I see your point. But no,
because I'm saying the word perceive, because society perceives their actions as good or evil. That is then how we reciprocate their punishment.
Dude,
is how it's perceived by the rest of society.
Okay, I guess you could say that, but because I guess there's some people who perceive mass murder as good. I guess.
I mean,
but like I'm saying, that's
mass murder is not the best. When you're saying some people perceive it as good, that's not the best.
But
inherently
like
evil people that we're saying, like Hitler, again, there was a part of that society that would have perceived him as a positive force. As for good,
right?
Even though they were completely wrong in the perspective of us, and good people, it's all human perspective. That
I see what you're saying.
The fucking bird flying over Hitler's speech, and I'm sorry to keep throwing up Hitler. I know everybody fucking references Hitler.
It's easy. It's just
an easy one to pull from. The fucking bird flying over his rally is not like, damn, that man's evil.
Right.
It's all human construct.
It's all only because we're the only ones yet to perceive it. But let's just hypothetically say
no. Not because we're the only ones able to perceive it. Because we are the ones who built the society that you need to fit into. And if your actions don't fit into the society that the majority of people think it should fit into, then we label that as good or bad. It's all about the construct. Even if we go back to Native American tribes warring against each other, I don't think that the Native Americans perceived a tribe that may have came and pillaged their.
Okay, but let's people's perceptions are stupid and wrong. Like the Nazis in Germany, they should have saw it coming.
Again, stupid and wrong is not good and evil. So that's kind of like I was talking, like what my mom said about the hatred of whatever kid shot Trump. It's like, no, it's not hatred. Yes, it comes from hatred, but at the end of the day, that's stupidity that made him do that. It's stupidity fueled by hatred. It's a complete just ignorance.
Well, they could be a number of motives, or things that pushed him to
But
that point.
I'm talking in broad strokes as we just were. That was just an example.
But see, I think I think what we're arguing for or against is universal truth of right and wrong. And I
don't think there is one.
I think that I think that there is. I think people inherently know. Like, let's just say.
But you're saying people, not universal. You're saying humanity. The asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs was not an evil force.
That's not sentient, though. It's not.
That doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
My whole point is that this only exists within our heads because we made the society where it has to fit in.
Right, because
So when you say universal, the universe may not be sentient.
Right.
So it's all within our heads as a construct to make a society that functions.
That still means we need to figure out what's right and wrong.
But that's going to be ever changing. That's going to be ever changing, right and wrong. There are plenty of things that people think are wrong now that I have no problem with, and vice versa.
I agree. I see what you mean.
I'm not saying that there's no value to the idea of good and evil or good and bad. I'm saying it's not a universal truth. It is a human truth. And it's only a human truth because we have to fit into a society that works.
Yeah, I wonder if alien cultures develop similar values to us.
I'm sure they have a sense of right and wrong, good and bad, or maybe they would even look at it more tactically, like beneficial or detrimental. You know, if you get really technologically advanced and everything is about efficiency and productivity, you're not going to say good and bad. You're going to say beneficial or detrimental to our current society's progress.
Right.
Which, again, could be applied to good and evil.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Again, I think it's valuable, and I think it is something that we obviously deal with in our lives, and it's something that is very powerful within the human experience. But to call it a universal truth is, I believe, flawed. That's all I'm saying.
You're probably right. I can see that argument.
And that doesn't take away the value from it, but it's just within our heads.
As of now.
Sure, I can agree with you on that.
As of now.
Because we have no clue what will be in the future.
Because what if the dolphins or the killer whales, whatever, like they are like, hey, we know we got to kill to eat, but we take care of our babies. Like we don't.
But again, that is the society. That's that community. That community knows our survival is priority. Even if we might feel like, I don't think they necessarily feel bad about hunting and killing for sustenance. But within their community, they're going to think about good and bad based on what benefits or hurts their pack.
Because I can see good and evil can be argued. Like, you know, some vegans would argue or whatever, anytime you kill an animal, that's reportable because you have the ability to avoid that. But other people are like,
well, and
I don't agree at all. Do what?
You don't have the ability to avoid that unless you fully grow your own garden and fully live off that.
Right.
If you buy any produce from a supermarket, you are killing animals.
Through landscape deprivation or just the machines directly.
Point blank, period.
Yeah, for sure. But I see what you mean. But I see how you can argue that obviously the idea of good and evil is flexible and malleable, and it's not necessarily a hard truth.
Yes, it's powerful and it's useful, and it's, again, I think something we've created.
But it's all about our own
society.
perspectives.
Yes, it's fully about our own perspectives.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, back to the orca analogy, back in the day when 100% of your priority was survival, I feel some raindrops. Back in the day when 100% of your priority was survival, then survival, whatever you had to do to survive and protect you and your kin, would have been perceived as good to you and your kin. Obviously, maybe it wouldn't have been perceived as good to the person you fucked over for your own survival. Mm-hmm. But then as we evolve society, survival becomes a little less important. Obviously, it's still the most important thing we need to do is fucking stay alive. But as our society evolves and technology evolves, then
We have more room to debate good and evil.
Then the quest is no longer for survival. It's about quality of life.
And equity.
And then
equality, whatever.
When our priority is quality of life and productivity and pushing future technology, well, then we get to good and evil being is good is something that pushes quality of life and enhances quality of life and everybody sees as a benefit to society. Bad is something that hurts quality of life and sets us back in society. And that, if you trace back what I just said, that all comes from strictly survival instincts.
Right.
And now that we have developed into this global ecosystem of humans, well, good and evil is now, does it benefit society or does it hurt us?
Right.
That's it.
That's a good point.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful, very useful, but it's not a universal truth, in my personal opinion. I'm open to be persuaded, but I think I've got a pretty good argument.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a hard opinion, but you've, yeah.
I've never really thought about that before.
I wouldn't hardcore disagree with that now. And I came in leaning towards, like, the idea, of course, that, because it's hard, yeah. No, I agree with you.
Because something I've said a lot when we've talked in the past is we really, really have trouble separating our human perspective from nature and the universe, which is what that whole argument was me trying to do that. And so it's so easy to say this is a universal truth because it's something we believe. But at the end of the day, it's only something we believe to our knowledge. So we can't say it's universal when it's only exists in humans.
Yeah, like maybe the mass murderer's got a point. There's too many people on the planet.
That's a stretch.
I'm just kidding, obviously.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm kidding.
Comedy podcast. Comedy.
Mark Norman, thank you for all that you have contributed to us.
Oh, man, we got about 5 more minutes. You got any quick little things to talk about before we wrap up? Again, sorry, Quinn. This is now 3 weeks in a row that I've not checked your emails. There's no way I'm about to check them right now. I am in a creek.
I do see some.
Bro, we're up a creek, right?
We're literally
up a creek.
Literally.
And we got no paddles.
0 paddles. That's funny.
We are up a creek without a paddle currently.
At least I got shoes.
Fuck your shoes. God gave me these shoes, brother, and they work perfectly fine.
Those bitch flippers.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little rough walking over some of these rocks.
Dude, it reminds me how much of a bitch I am when I walk outside barefoot.
I've gotten better. As a kid, I was actually I never went outside barefoot. I've gotten a little better about it. Dude, I've got to pee so bad from this.
Well, let's wrap it up. I got to pee too.
This water is just drawing.
We've been hanging in here for a minute. My legs are feeling it.
I feel amazing right now.
Like I want to stand up.
Yeah, I've had a couple little chances to stand up that you haven't. You've sat down for 2 straight hours.
I like the spot though. I'd come back.
This might have to be like the new go-to when Monticello.
Yeah, because there's that nice beach up there. We haven't seen anybody else.
No, this far back you're not going to. But like I said, if you go the opposite direction, that trail wraps right around that little bridge that you drove over.
Yeah.
So potentially we'd have more interference. Not that I care if people are around, but sometimes it's a little easier for us to get fully engaged in the conversation when we know nobody's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, we do this so that people will listen.
Right. No, that's weird. Dude, it's only 4.
Oh, 4:10.
I think we started this one at like 3:16.
Close. I know I flipped the camera about 25 minutes ago. So, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully we're past 50 minutes at this point. I don't think I shouted out the email at the beginning of this one. But I did. You got us last week.
Yeah.
So,
the first one.
Doing 2 in a day.
Episode 52.
Yes. But if you want to write it into the show, it is upacreek@thepaddlepod.com. It is in the description of any of the podcast platforms, and it's also in the description on YouTube. If I'll say it like I said it last week. If you can't understand us redneck motherfuckers when we quickly say upacreek at thepaddlepod.com, just check the description. It's always down there. Copy and paste it. Fucking write into us. Give us some feedback. Give us some shit to talk about. Hate on us. Do whatever. Yeah. Any closing remarks?
No. I'm feeling good.
I talked about this last week. If you know what's good for you, you will go listen to Brittany Howard's latest album.
Oh yeah, I'll check that out.
Fucking good. Yeah,
sure.
you have to. I want to hear your impression.
I'll check it out.
Really, really good. But thank you guys for sticking with us. We'll be back next week for episode. Yeah, 54.
Let us know if you think good or evil is a universal truth or not.
Honestly, like when we do arguments like that, it's a great opportunity for some of y'all motherfuckers to write in and let us know about how, what you think about what we said.
Enlighten us.
Maybe you have some perspectives that we skipped over. Maybe there were some things that we missed. Fucking write in and give us your 2 cents.
Let us know.
But thank you guys for listening, as always.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
All right, love you guys.